likely doing it again. So I did all of these things. And in doing all of these things, you said the second time, well, now, this is actually a much easier campaign in a way. I mean, the only problem is I've been tarred with this horrible witch hunt for 4 years, and I didn't do it. Now think of it. What would my numbers be if I didn't go through almost 4 years of a Russian witch hunt that turned out to be just the opposite? They were the ones that were involved with Russia. It was a whole big disinformation campaign. Now, what would my numbers be with all that we've done? And if you didn't hear night after night on fake news, CNN and MSDNC, and the New York Times and the Washington Post, and now it's turning out, not turning out, it's done. Because if you look at everything that's come out over the last few days, it's we caught them. They've been caught. They spied on my campaign, and they tried for a coup. Can you believe it in this day and age? And we caught them cold. So what would our numbers be? Our numbers, not my numbers. What would our numbers be if every night, every morning, every day, they were saying Russia, Russia, Russia? It turned out to be a total hoax. In fact, Biden's son, it was just revealed 2 days ago, got $3.5 million from the wife of the mayor of Moscow. Think of it. So, but I really think about that. What would be on it? We did all these incredible things with the economy, with everything. Then we got hit with this virus from China. They should never have let it happen. We won't forget it. And we closed up. We saved millions of lives. Now we've opened it with opening to records. But what would our popularity be if every day for almost 4 years you didn't hear any of this bullshit? Okay. What would it be? True. It's true. What would they be? With all we've done, I think that would be very nice. The Democrats would say, yes, if you'd like, we could cancel the election because we have no chance. But you know what? Hopefully, they have no chance anyway, and hopefully you're going to remember what I just said. Because we were unjustly treated, unjustly accused by a bunch of treasonous crooks, a bunch of bad, bad people who got caught. And I think they'll have to pay a very substantial price. When the plague arrived from China, we launched the largest national mobilization since World War II. We pioneered life-saving therapies, reducing the fatality rate 85% since April. You know, the question was asked to me, how well did we do on the pandemic? And I said, I give us an A to an A+. You look at the ventilators, you look at all we've done. We did a great job. We helped the governors. The governors are always very thankful. Then sometimes they'll get in front of a camera. They'll remember some of them are Democrats, right? But I said the only thing we did badly on was public relations because we were working so hard. We didn't think, I think, frankly, they're not going to cover it well no matter what. But we did a hell of a job. And they'd compare us to Europe, and we did very well. But now that Europe is exploding again, they don't want to talk about it, and neither do I, because I want Europe to heal. I want the whole world to heal. But we've done a hell of a job, except in public relations, and that's explaining it to people. On that, I give us a D. But we got an A+ in terms of what we've done. Through Operation Warp Speed, we will develop and distribute a vaccine in record time by the end of the year, and it could be sooner than that, but we have the greatest labs, the greatest companies of that kind in the world, and they are right there. They are right there. It's going to be incredible. So it's going to be a great vaccine. And we have Pfizer, Johnson & Johnson, Moderna, another one just announced today. These are great, great, great companies. On November 3rd, Virginia will decide whether we end the pandemic and return to record prosperity or whether we allow Joe Biden to kill the recovery, delay the vaccine, impose a $4 trillion tax hike on you. That's what he wants to do. Ban American energy. He wants to ban fracking. How about that? He wants to ban fracking. Then he lucks into the nomination. You know, he shouldn't have gotten it because if Pocahontas left 2 days early, Bernie would have won, and we would have had Bernie. I don't know who I would have been better against. Maybe, who knows? But we would have had radical Bernie. But we're going to get a lot of Bernie votes like we did last time because his people agree with us on trade, except we're better at it than he is. So we're going to get a lot of the Bernie votes. Boy, Bernie takes a hard shot, doesn't he? This is twice it happened, and he has such a nice attitude between him. And how about Bloomberg? Bloomberg gets absolutely decimated in the debate, right? Mini Mike. He gets decimated. And in order to get back with the Democrat Party, I'm going to put $100 million into Florida. If I were him, I'd just take a pass. He doesn't have to give us anything. We don't need his money. Just take a pass, you know? So he wants to buy his way into the Democrats, and so he's going down to Florida. But unfortunately, he did something that wasn't so good, right? He said, I'm going to pay off all these fines of the prisoners. There's only one problem. It's illegal. Now he's got himself a problem. Now he's got himself a bigger problem than he had when Pocahontas beat the hell out of him in the debate. Oh, that wasn't so easy, Mike. Remember, she was going point after point after point, and he thought she was talking about me. And so did I, actually. And then what happened? She said, and I'm not talking about President Trump, I'm talking about you. And he went, oh, my God. He's not a good guy, not a good guy. Stupid. To do that, stupid. You have to have some pride. You can't go. The way they treated him so badly, you can't do that. But they're going to destroy the suburbs. You know, I keep hearing about suburban women like you, right? Suburban women. Well, I just ended a regulation that would have allowed projects in your... do you mind having a project next to your house? You're beautiful. You live in a beautiful house, right? Happily married, beautiful kids, everything perfect, the American dream, right? Do you mind having a project built next door? Yeah, she said she minds. You know who minds? Everybody minds. I just don't think anybody knows that we did this. I really don't. I don't think anybody knows. And they're going to change the zoning that allows them to build projects in the suburbs. So the guys came to me. I said, I want to end that. They came, sir, we're all set. We're going to really bring it back. I said, no, I didn't say bring it back. I said, I want it ended. Well, that's not so easy. I said, I want it ended. I don't want it. I don't want it. And we terminated it so you can live happily ever after if you vote for Trump. If you don't vote for Trump, you can forget it because they will put it. You know who's in charge of it? Cory Booker, Senator Cory Booker. He's another beauty. He was Elizabeth. If you really take, you had Elizabeth Warren, you had Cory Booker, and you had Kamala. You know, if you pronounce her name wrong, she goes crazy. Kamala, like a comma. It's like a comma. She's like a comma. And by the way, nobody treated Sleepy Joe worse than his vice presidential pick. I brilliantly said he'll never pick Kamala because he got called a racist. He got called xenophobic, which he didn't know what that meant. He got called all sorts of things, right? And so I said, no, obviously he's not going to be. He picked her. I couldn't believe it. But I think that's good. We like our Mike Pence. We like Mike Pence. And she's rated further left than Bernie Sanders. I thought he was the most left in the... He's not actually even in the party. He's sort of like an independent. Nobody ever used to say that, but he's like an independent. But she's rated further left than Crazy Bernie. And this is what you want? I don't think so. Just so you understand, and then she calls it the Harris administration, along with, just like you're naming a movie, the producing credits, right? In the Harris administration, along with Vice President Biden. No. He's heading up the ticket. But then he said the same thing. He put her name first. I've never done that. I love Mike. But I've never said Mike Pence and Donald Trump. I always say Trump because you know what? You got to know that. You're the president. He doesn't know that he's in first position. He doesn't know it. He doesn't know it. He forgot. Hey, look, you're entitled to a mistake every once in a while. It was strange that they did it almost in the same hour, though, right? It was like one on top of another. Give free health care. They want to give free health care to illegal aliens and indoctrinate your children with poisonous anti-American lies in school. We don't like that. To combat the toxic left, and you see what it is. It's toxic left-wing propaganda in our schools. I announced last week that we are launching a new pro-American lesson plan for students called the 1776 Commission. We will teach our children the truth about America, that we are the most exceptional nation on the face of the earth, and we're getting better all the time. And we're joined tonight by a friend of ours, a warrior, Congressman Rob Whitman. Thanks, Rob. Good guy. Virginia Republican Party Chair, Rich Anderson. Good job. How we doing? Am I making the right move? I'm not wasting my time here, Rich. I got to ask him. Rich, what do you think? I think so, right? I think so. And congressional candidates, Nick Freitas. Good. Oh, look at him. We had a call the other day, a very successful call, right? Great call. Thanks, Nick. And a real warrior, a real hero, Scott Taylor. Scott. Those are two very important races, and I think you're going to win them. I saw some good polling. We're taking over the House from Crazy Nancy. We're going to have it. And I think those two guys, I think they're going to win. Also, somebody that I have heard incredible things about, the Republican nominee for the U.S. Senate, Daniel Gade. Daniel Gade. He's a good-looking guy. And I'll tell you, he's got to beat his opponent because he is just Warner. Warner was, he was talking about Russia, right? Trump and Russia, Russia, Russia. Then he gets scammed by a guy with the greatest Russian accent. You remember that, right? I have pictures of President Trump. Oh, really? Where? What are they like? Are they nude pictures? Yes. Does Vladimir know? Yes. So he's talking to this guy. Got scammed, okay? It was a comedian or something. It was a comedian. He's allowed to talk to Russians. If I talk to a Russian, it's a terrible thing. By the way, getting along with Russia is not the worst thing in the world. Does that make sense? Getting along with North Korea, Kim Jong-un, oh, he's getting along. He's giving so much. I said, what did you give? They couldn't tell me anything. You know what I gave? Sanctions. That's what I gave. But you know what? We get along. You would have been in a war right now. Would have been a nuclear war. You would have been in a war right now with North Korea if it wasn't for me. Hillary Clinton didn't have a clue. Obama didn't have a clue. Obama told me when I sat with him, the one time I sat with him, what's your biggest problem, North Korea? I said, how big? He said, it's a big problem. And he was indicating like it was war. I said, have you tried calling him? Have you tried? Have you given it a little shot? Instead of losing 10 million people, they used to say 50,000 people could be killed. No, 20 million people could be killed, okay? 20 million. Seoul is right next to, right near the border. It would be too bad, but we have a good relationship. I get criticized because I have relationships with these people, and that's a positive thing. We have to remember that's a positive thing. And I had a very good relationship in China with President Xi, but you know what? This pandemic has we made a great trade deal, but it just doesn't mean the same to me. Does that make any sense? It doesn't mean the same to me. It doesn't mean the same to me. Last week, 2 weeks ago, they had the largest order of corn to our farmers in our history. They had the largest order of soybeans. They had this massive order of beef. But you know what? It just doesn't mean as much to me now as it did at one point. The ink wasn't even dry on the trade deal, and this thing came in and they could have stopped it. We're also deeply moved to be joined by two Gold Star spouses, two incredible people. Karen Owens was a guest at my first address to Congress as we honored the supreme sacrifice of her husband, fallen Navy SEAL Ryan Owens. Where's Karen? Where are you? Come on up here. Come up. And we're also joined with Brittany Jacobs and her family. You know Brittany. On Memorial Day in 2017, I met Brittany and her son Christian at Arlington National Cemetery, and we honored the memory of her incredible husband and Christian's dad, Marine Sergeant Christopher Jacobs. We took a picture together, that little boy who's no longer a little boy. Come on over here. Come on over here. The both of you. Come on. Step out. Come on. I said, how's your beautiful, handsome boy? She said, really good, but he wants to go back to school. Let's go. Open up the schools. Open up the schools, Governor. We'll get them open. But we thank God every day for our courageous warriors, and we'll always support our incredible Gold Star families, and we want to thank both of you. It's incredible. Thank you. And we'll get you back to school soon, all right? Get them back. Come on, Governor. Let's go. You got other things to do. These people, you know, they're keeping the states closed because they think it's going to be harmful on November 3rd. And it's not really, it's not going to have too much of an impact. What it's doing is hurting a lot of people, though. It's hurting a lot of people. In everything we do, we are putting America first. We've spent the last 4 years reversing the terrible damage Joe Biden and his friends inflicted on this country over the last 47 years. I love it when he says, we could have done this, we should have done that. The guy's been here forever. 47 years, hard to believe, right? And that was in prime time, although he never had super prime time, but that was in prime time, remember? And this time, and now I got him here. Together we've taken on a corrupt and broken system that's been throwing everything at us from the very beginning. A new trove of documents, and you have to go home, you got to read these documents. And they now prove that Russia interfered in 2016. Unfortunately, it was on behalf of Hillary Clinton, not Trump. They interfered, disinformation. Newly released text messages make 100% clear the FBI knew that Democrats purchased Russian disinformation targeting me, your favorite president, which then formed the basis for the witch hunt. And I'll tell you, we've had some incredible strength in terms of people like Sean Hannity, the great Lou Dobbs. Don't think of it. Laura, Tucker. Tucker's been great the last period of time. Fox and Friends. Janine. I'll tell you. Jesse. How about Jesse, huh? Hey, Greg Gutfeld was bad to me. Now he's great to me. He said, hey, would you rather have a nice guy that doesn't do anything or a horrible human being like Trump that gets it done? They all say, I'd rather have the horrible human. I'm not a horrible human being. I'm a nicer guy. I always get very offended when they say about, like, well, maybe people don't like him, but he gets everything done. I think people like me, but I do get it done. That's for sure. Done more than any administration ever in 3.5 years, first 3.5 years. I'll tell you, that is so nice. That is so nice. The first you talk about the seating. Don't worry about the justice will get her seat. Don't worry about that. And that's nice. But you know, they say, these people said they've never heard a political campaign where a big audience says, we love Trump or the candidate. I've never heard it. It's true. I've never heard it for Ronald Reagan, and I like Ronald Reagan, but I've never heard it. And they've never heard it. Nobody's ever heard it. Who says that? But I love you too. I really do. I do. And we're getting it done. No, they've never heard that chant. I've never heard it. And it started about 2 weeks ago. I've never heard it even before. But again, before... I want to thank you. It's really nice. It's really nice. And we've got to go out and we've got to really work hard. And we've got to watch this ballot scam because they're scamming us, okay? They're scamming us. And then they say, he doesn't want to turn over government. Of course I do. But it's got to be a fair election. You know, see, that's another scam. They don't mention anything about ballots. I say, got to be a fair election. When they're losing ballots all over the place. When they're losing ballots that just happen to be Trump ballots. You know, in Virginia, did you hear? In a very Democrat area, they sent 2 ballots to thousands of people, 1,000 or thousands of people. It just came out over the wires. So people in a Democrat area got 2 ballots instead of 1. They had 8 ballots in a waste paper basket, military ballots that all were for Trump. Everyone was for Trump. And they were in a waste paper basket. They were thrown away and somebody saw them. Then they had many, many ballots thrown into a river someplace. I don't even know the state. These are just a few of them. And then go back earlier. Go back to the Democrat primaries. Go back to the great state, Iowa. I love Iowa. We're going to win Iowa big, 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 big. We won it last time by 11 points. We're going to win it big with ethanol, what I've done for them, with the $28 billion for the farmers, and that includes you. That includes tobacco. That includes a lot of things, but that includes your farmers. But you go back to their primaries, right? Go back to the primary, the Iowa, the first primary. It was done with ballots. They have no idea. Remember the disaster? And that's a small primary. Now they're talking about tens of millions of these fake ballots going all over the place. Who's sending them? Where are they being sent? Who's sending them back? Supposing they don't get them. Are they being sent to Democrat areas? And they're all run by Democrat governors, right? All of them, 100%. It's 100%. So you have a guy in Nevada. He just comes up with the idea, I think we're going to win Nevada. If fairly, we're going to win it. But he comes up, well, you don't have to have your signature verified. Oh, that's nice. That's good. He decided, let's not do that. But you know a real big problem? I like watching television and have, the winner is, right? You might not hear it for months because this is a mess. Go back and study what happened in Iowa. Take a look. Take a look at what happened in New York in a small congressional race. Carolyn Maloney. She should have lost the race, in my opinion. They gave it to her because it was a crooked deal. The guy that she ran against was having fits. He said, what are you doing? What are you doing? Everything was mixed up. The ballots were lost. There was fraud. There was everything. Go into Paterson, New Jersey. These are just recently. It's a disaster waiting to happen. And the only one that knows it better than we do are the Democrats. They know this is going to happen. They want it to happen because they want to go through a court system. And instead, you're not going to hear, very unlikely that you're going to hear winner that night. I could be leading, and then they'll just keep getting ballots and ballots and ballots and ballots, because now they're saying that the ballots can come in late. Well, what does that mean? And more importantly, they're going to be given, in some cases, a week or 2 weeks to count the ballots. So if we're waiting for one state, now think of it. If we're waiting, and they're talking about 5, 6, 7 states that have this problem. So if we're waiting for one state, does that mean the whole nation, the whole world is going to wait for one state? I won't use any names, but you have Pennsylvania, where you have a Democrat who, by the way, lost the case last week. We sued. We want him to open up his state, and we won on constitutional grounds. North Carolina, they have the state all locked up. So we're talking about, these are the governors that run their states for Democrats. They really do. I mean, they run them. They're Democrat governors, and they're in charge of the count. We went to Nevada to make a speech. We had 5 different sites. The governor made it impossible, so we ended up at a different site. We had to get one This is the guy that's in charge of ballots. He was a political hack. Now he's the governor. And this guy is in charge of ballots. It's not going to work. It's going to be a disaster. And I want a smooth, beautiful transition, but they don't add the other part. But it's got to be an honest vote. And everybody knows. Just go back again. Look at Iowa. Look what happened. Just take a look at that. They still don't know who won. They didn't know weeks later. Remember, New Hampshire went. New Hampshire declared a winner. And essentially, they don't know what happened in Iowa. Except the difference is we're doing the same thing, but with tens of millions of ballots. This is a disaster waiting to happen, and they shouldn't let this system go. If you ask for a ballot, it's called solicited. You solicit. You want the ballot. It comes in. You sign it. You send it back. That's okay. But where they send millions and millions of unsolicited ballots, people get ballots they didn't even know they were getting them. Sign it. Sign it. Then there are people going around getting it to sign. You know, when you have that, you don't need it. We have much more enthusiasm. We're so high up on enthusiasm, right? Sign it, sign it. Then there are people going around getting it to sign. You know, when you have that, you don't need it. We have much more enthusiasm. We're so high up on enthusiasm, right? But it's very unfair, because when you have somebody go knock on your door, sign, it's called harvesting. They're going to harvest ballots, even though in some cases, in most cases, it's illegal. It's illegal as hell, and it should be illegal. So this is a disaster waiting to happen, and the only hope we have, really, other than going through a long, unbelievable litigation at the end after it's over, because we're going to win. We're not going to lose this except if they cheat. That's the way I look at it. We can't let them cheat. We can't let them. It's too much. Our country is at stake, and that's true. Our country is at stake because these people will destroy our country. We can't let this happen. And this is a scam. They know it. The media knows it, but the media doesn't want to cover it. They know exactly what's going to happen, and so do I. But the Democrats know better than all of us what's going to happen. So we can't let it, and if you see anything, you just have to report it and everything. We're all watching. Law enforcement's watching all over the place, but it's very hard to watch. You know, millions of ballots, very hard to watch. And it's the only way that's the only way we're gonna lose is if there's mischief, and it'll have to be on a big scale. So be careful. And we do want a very friendly transition, but we don't want to be cheated and be stupid and say, oh, let's transit. We'll go and we'll do a transition. And we know that there were thousands and thousands of ballots that made the difference through cheating. We're not going to stand for it. We're not going to stand for it. So just remember, keep your eyes open. For decades, our opponents spent trillions of dollars rebuilding other countries. And now we're finally rebuilding our country. We invested $2.5 trillion in the U.S. military, all made in the USA. We launched the first new branch of the armed forces. Think of that. since the Air Force 75 years ago. It's called Space Force. It's a big deal. See, that alone would be a big deal for, honestly, that alone would be a very big deal for a administration. We did, think of it, we now have a sixth branch of the United States Armed Forces. That's a big deal. But we did so much more, so much more. I mean, think of it, it's incredible. You know, we did probably the most. We'll have maybe even more than 300 federal judges, including Court of Appeals. And now we're going to have 3 Supreme Court judges. Their minds are blowing. Their minds. You know, you've had many presidents, never had 1 Supreme Court judge. We're going to have 3. Of all people, and that's a record, of all people, to get 3 Supreme Court justices in one administration, in one term, they are going crazy. They're saying, darling, tell me this is not happening. But you'll see it tomorrow at 5 o'clock. With the help of the incredible workers of Newport News and Norfolk Naval Shipyard, we will build 355. We're going to have a Navy again of 355 ships. That's what we need. That's been depleted. And they're already being built. We've got a few big ones, beauties being built, including aircraft carriers. Biden will slash military funding and shipbuilding will be shut down. It's going to be shut down like it used to be. We killed the founder and leader of ISIS, al-Baghdadi. We took out the world's #1 terrorist and mass murderer, Soleimani. I withdrew from last administration's disastrous Iran nuclear catastrophe. What a deal that was. $150 billion, $1.8 billion in cash. You ever see what $1.8 billion in cash? It's plane loads. These guys over there, they must have said, what the hell is this? They never saw money like that. We paid it. You know what we got for it? Nothing. Nothing. I kept my promise, recognized the true capital of Israel, and opened the American embassy in Jerusalem. I also recognized Israeli sovereignty over the Golan Heights. They've been working on that for 52 years. I got it done quickly. And instead of endless wars, we are forging peace in the Middle East. We even got nominated, right? You know what for? That's right. I hate to talk about it, but I have to because the press doesn't talk about it. No, that was a great honor. It was a great honor. Twice, you know that, right? Twice. The press doesn't talk about it. The Nobel Peace Prize, right? Two for different things. For Kosovo and Serbia, we stopped them from killing each other. It was very nice. And they don't have to kill each other. They've been killing each other for a long time. Kosovo, Serbia, it was great. It was great. And we got a nomination for Israel. And you look at Bahrain, UAE. That's just the beginning. We have them lined up that want to go into that. Well, peace in the Middle East without blood all over the sand. And I told you, you heard the story. I went home, I said, First Lady, I'm going to get the greatest stories tonight. I just got nominated for the Nobel Peace Prize, First Lady. For Israel, everybody said it couldn't be done. And they were right, it couldn't be done the way they were doing it. You would have never gotten it done. The way John Kerry was doing it, you would have never gotten it done. As a guy doesn't have a clue, incompetent. But you know what? I said, First Lady, wait till you see this. It's going to be unbelievable. And we watched Lester Holt. I don't even know why. And we had one story after another after another. And after 7 stories, I said, First Lady, this is getting a little embarrassing. And they never mentioned it, nor did any other of the newscasts. Fake CNN didn't mention it. MSDNC didn't mention it. ABC, CBS, nobody mentioned it. So I was very embarrassed. 3 days later, I got nominated again. Right? And I said, my great First Lady, we got another shot at it, darling. Let's watch the news tonight. 1 story, 2 stories, 3 stories, 4 stories, 5 stories. We got to the end, it wasn't mentioned again. And when Barack Hussein Obama was nominated, it was... And he didn't know what he got it for. He still doesn't. He doesn't know what he got it for. So we have a little double standard going, but that's okay, as long as we know. Sometimes I'll be talking that way, and I'll look around, I'll say, oh, I'm in the Oval Office. How did that happen? I said, you know, with all the complaining, we're in the Oval Office, and they're not, right? And if you don't mind, let's keep it that way so we can keep this going. We've achieved more in 47 months than Joe Biden has achieved in 47 years. It's true. Biden, without even knowing it, is pushing the most far-left platform in history. The Biden plan would destroy Social Security and destroy protection for people with pre-existing conditions. He would terminate our travel bans in jihadist regions. You know, I got the travel ban. Remember, everyone said you couldn't do that. I want a travel ban from people that want to blow up our country. Do you think that's okay? People said, oh, we don't like that. Took a little heat, and we got it. They said I didn't get it, and they were right. We lost at one court, lost at the second, then we won in the Supreme Court. They don't say that. But we have a strong travel ban, and we will use it. We do use it. We use it plenty. And increase refugee admissions. They want to increase refugee admissions 700%, opening the floodgates for radical Islamic terrorism. They want to ban school choice in charter schools. In the second term, I will provide school choice to every parent in America. Every parent. A vote for Republicans is a vote for safe communities, great jobs, and a limitless future for all Americans. It's so true. And in conclusion, I love you people, but I've been doing this since early in the morning. I'm getting the hell out of here. I would only do this for me, Joe. I got a guy, he stays in his damn basement all day long, and I'm doing this. I don't know. If he wins, I'm going to be very embarrassed. I'll say, gee, I worked so hard, and he didn't work at all. No, we're going to win. I think we're going to win. I think we're going to win big. I think we're going to win bigger than anyone understands. I think there's a vote out there. There's a hidden vote out there. The pollsters are fake. They're controlled by the same people that write the bad stories, the fake stories. Over the next 4 years, we will make America into the manufacturing superpower of the world, and we will end our reliance on China once and for all. We will hire more police, increase penalties for assaults on law enforcement, and we will ban deadly sanctuary cities, ban them. We will uphold religious liberty, free speech, and the right to keep and bear arms, Virginia. We will strike down terrorists who threaten our citizens, and we will keep America out of the ridiculous, horrible, endless foreign wars, countries that you've never even heard of. You will keep you out of them. And by the way, we have weapons, the likes of which nobody has ever seen before. We have a level of, a degree of which nobody from Russia to China to North Korea, nobody's ever seen what we built. And just hope to God we never have to use them, but we have never had anything like the arsenal that we've built over the last 3 years. Hope to God we never have to use them. We're the envy of the world in that way. We have the greatest people for building. There's nobody can do what we can do. There's nobody. But when I came in, your military was totally depleted. You had old planes. You had old everything. We have now the F-35s, and we have things, the bombers, the new bombers, the tankers, the ships that we're building, some right here, Newport News. You know? But we have built an arsenal, the likes of which the world has never seen. And you know what? That will make it a lot easier for us not to have to use them. That's really what we need. We needed it. We were in bad shape. We were in bad shape. We will maintain America's unrivaled military might, and we will ensure peace through strength, and that's what we've done. We will end surprise medical billing, require price transparency, and further reduce health insurance. You know, the health insurance is a disaster. And we are bringing the price of health insurance way down, premiums and costs of prescription drugs. We're instituting favored nations. We pay the highest in the world for drugs. I negotiated with Big Pharma, and I just got tired of negotiating. I said, I'm sorry. We're instituting favored nations. We're the largest purchaser of prescription drugs by far in the world. And I instituted what we call a favored nations clause, where we will pay the same price as the nation that pays the lowest price in the world. In addition to that, I instituted a rebate clause where we get the rebates instead of the middlemen. These are the richest people. I don't know who the hell they are, but the middlemen they're very rich, and they're not liking me too much. And you're going to see a lot of bad ads from Big Pharma. They've already started. Just remember, every time you see one of those ads, that means your drug prices are coming way down. And I mean by 50, 60, 70, and 80%. We'll strongly protect Medicare and Social Security. We will always protect patients with pre-existing conditions. Always, always. America will land the first woman on the moon, and the United States will be the first nation to land an astronaut on Mars. It's going to happen quickly. And we've taken NASA from fairways, I mean, you have to see, they had fairways along like a golf course. It was a better golf course than it was a runway. And what we've done, we've taken all the grass out. It was grass growing right through the cracks. It was a disgrace. And we've now made it the #1 space center in the world by far again. You ought to see this. They were playing golf. They were playing golf. It was all closed up, or essentially closed up. It was actually worse than closed up. You know what? It was sort of open, but nobody was doing anything. They had nothing to do. We had the greatest scientists in the world, and we're letting rich guys send up rockets. We like it. Somehow rich people like to send rockets up. We say, just pay us a nice rent and have a lot of fun sending your rockets up. But NASA's now #1 in the world again by far, and there's no contest. And all that grass is gone. We will stop the radical indoctrination of our students and restore patriotic education to our schools. We will teach our children to love our country, honor our history, and always respect our great American flag. Are you listening, NFL? Are you listening, NFL? And we will live by the timeless words of our national motto, "In God we trust." For years, you had a president who apologized for America. Now you have a president who is standing up for America and standing up for the great people of Virginia and North Carolina. So get your friends, get your family, get your neighbors, get your co-workers, and get out and vote. There's never been a more important election than this election. Early voting has already begun. Do not wait. Go out and vote. From Richmond to Roanoke, from Fredericksburg to Williamsburg, and from Norfolk to right here in Newport News. We stand on the shoulders of Virginia patriots who gave their blood, sweat, and tears for this beloved nation. Virginia is the place that gave us George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, James Madison, James Monroe. Now, you know, I signed a little document, 10 years in prison if you knock down a statue or a monument. It's amazing how you haven't seen any of that lately. They were having a little fun, and now they were heading toward the Jefferson Memorial. I said, wait a minute. And I predicted that. They were knocking down statues. A lot of people didn't know exactly which one. I said, you better stop it. Because the next thing you know, they'll knock down the statue of Robert E. Lee, and they did. I said, you better stop it, or they'll be going after Thomas Jefferson and Washington and Abe Lincoln. And they started. And I said, what are we going to do here? I have some good people. They said, because today in Congress you can't get anything done. They'd give you one day in a very nice hotel. So I said, what are we going to do? They said, we'll take out an old law and you can reinstitute it with an executive order. I said, what does it say? 10 years in prison, not jail. They used the word prison. I said, for what? You knock down a monument or a statue, you go to jail for 10 years. I said, give me that thing, get it to my office immediately. And I signed it. And they were coming down to Washington. They were going to knock down 2 particular statues that were really beautiful. And I signed it, and we announced it, had a news conference, got to let people know about it, right? And the 20,000-person march turned out to be about 3 people. And 2 of them were arrested, actually, because we have, thanks to the fake news, we have a lot of footage of people standing on the statue of Jackson, Andrew Jackson. Remember, they almost had the ropes. We sent in the police. The police did a great job, by the way. Remember, they had the ropes. They were ready to pull it down. And we said, charge. And they charged. And I want to tell you, they did a hell of a job. They were much tougher than the people with the ropes. It took them about 2 minutes, and that was the end of the ropes. But it was close. They got there just in time. But you know what? Since I signed that, there's been no statues, no monuments that have been played with, right? Federal. States have to do the same thing for their states. Virginia heroes made America into the single greatest nation in the history of the world, and the best is yet to come. Proud citizens like you helped build this country, and together we are taking back our country. We are returning power to you, the American people. With your help, your devotion, and your drive, we are going to keep on working, we are going to keep on fighting, and we are going to keep on winning. We're going to win. We're one movement, one people, one family, and one glorious nation under God. And together with the incredible people of Virginia and North Carolina, we will make America wealthy again. We will make America strong again. We will make America proud again. We will make America safe again. And we will make America great again. Thank you, Virginia. Thank you. Get out and vote. Thank you.
President Trump wrapping up his lengthy rally in Newport News, Virginia, hitting on all the subjects he usually does, especially previewing his highly anticipated announcement for a nominee to the Supreme Court to fill the vacancy left by the passing of Ruth Bader Ginsburg. President Trump was in 3 states today, Georgia, Florida, and Virginia. He's returning to Washington. We're only a few days ahead of the first presidential debate. The president going after Joe Biden. Also, you saw Vice President Mike Pence introduce the president. There's only 39 days before the November 3rd election. The president hammering his purported view that mail-in ballots will lead to rife voter fraud amid the electorate. But he hit all of his usual suspects tonight, hammering obviously Joe Biden and his running mate Kamala Harris, calling Nancy Pelosi crazy Nancy. He lost Virginia by about 5.5 points in 2016, so he's looking for a victory there. we hope you tune in tomorrow for our continuing coverage of the life of Ruth Bader Ginsburg and also the highly anticipated announcement of President Trump's nominee. We can confirm, Fox sources are confirming that that nominee is Amy Coney Barrett. She hails from South Bend, Indiana. She served on the federal bench for about 3 years